All right, so I'm about to do a video about Geechee, Gullah. As y'all know, I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. One of the places of the corridor, the Geechee Gullah corridor of the Geechee Gullah Nation, right? From North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, around the coastal parts of those states. But also the bloodline goes from here to Texas to Alabama, Oklahoma to Mexico. For those who know about after the war happened, of course, down to South Florida, all the way to the Bahamas. We'll be here all day. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk about a few people with this. And shout out to the go. I guess I say shout out, but I'm just basically I don't know the guy, his take on when it comes to black people, when it comes to other things, but when it comes to uh, our connection with Africa, those of us in African America, I mean, excuse me, so-called African Americans, those here in America, our connection with Africa. This person, deals with that, but he also called out somebody who doesn't deal with that, right? Who basically says the opposite, who try to make it seem like slavery never happened, that none of the black people, or maybe only a certain percentage, or maybe 9% of black people actually from over here, so-called black people actually came from what we know today as Africa, right? On that part. And and this person go back to Africa. He basically did a good job of explaining this, showing that how he bring out the truth and prove that we do have a connection, do come from Africa, right? Ones of us, come from certain parts, really. And we get into all about Sham and Ham and all. That's another video. Afro-Asiatic and Hebrew being an Afro-Asiatic language, et cetera, along with Arabic, da da da. Okay, right? You know, coming from the Proto-Canaanite, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, stay on topic. I also, on the video that he did, I put go back to Africa. I also put as well how also as well with being Geechee Gullah, how a lot of people like who and them who be on this copper tone Aboriginal American da da da. We was here first, which there were black people over here first, but also what they failed to mention to those of us who have Gullah roots, right? They failed to mention South Carolina, how ones in South Carolina, the Geechees there mentioned about Igbo landing, Gullah, Angola, Geechee, the Geechee people, and basically have shared the same customs of those of West Africa, the basket weaving, food, you name it, right? A lot of customs, the language, all of that, the Creole, all that language, have a connection. You feel me? So instead of ones like them sitting down with Queen Quet, I believe she's the ambassador or queen of the Geechee Gullah Nation, instead of sitting down talking to people who actually got the knowledge, raised into the traditional, culture, right, of native tribes or people, the ones of us that was here. And hearing that, and she will tell you, admit that, yeah, there was black people over here, but it was also ones of us that came from over here or that got blended with both, right? Okay. But I don't like the fact that ones try to make it seem like, we know like a good amount of black people over here don't have no connection with Africa. All right. And then you have ones who try to say, well, Geechee Gullahs try to play it like we're a small group or something like that, right? I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, whatever. Uh, at some point, at one point, when you just call anybody was from the South, they would just call them Geechee, right? Because we was all over the place. Like I mentioned, Oklahoma, Alabama, even parts of Louisiana. My dad, rest in peace, mentioned Louisiana, right? Different spots all over the place, but the majority where you'll find ones, and the culture is very intact, or more intact, I would say, in South Carolina when it comes to the language, the food, and all that. But when you get further kind of down here, over time you had people who didn't like to be called Geechee and Gullah. Even in parts, I guess you would say in South Carolina, I was a guy who said he kind of came up the way I came up. I was surprised because South Carolina is the mecca of the nation, and was saying how he kind of heard this person Geechee, that Geechee, but he didn't know what it meant. Same thing with me too. I didn't really know like what it meant. Your grandmother, your granny would say, "Oh, you Geechee, you got Geechee, you eat a lot of rice." I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. You just hear, but you didn't really know what it was until later on. You knew what it was, but a lot of certain aspects of the culture kind of withered away because you had ones who wanted to fit in with the mainland, come from the coast, and further mainland you got, start kind of dropping more of the where we would speak. But there's things that we speak even in the English language that's a part of the culture. The whole quote unquote ebonics, all that English itself come from the Geechee language, right? Or the Gullah, language. There's a difference between the Gullah, Geechee, language, all that. But I had time to really study more, and I would say, and I would watch certain movies, Geechee movies, like was it Daughters of the Dust, I think it is. And I was like, dang, that's my granny all day right there. You say, I'm trying to learn you how to act. All kind of, I said, dang, this is wow, like this is great, like this is for real. But yeah, and just the way you say things like mama them, right? It's in Jamaica, people them. So you have a lot of Caribbean in you. And of course, somebody mentioned the connection with Barbados, right? Geechee Gullah with Barbados. A lot of the slaves were brought to Barbados to the Gullah Islands. So, like you could say land-wise, we're American, but culturally, more Geechee people, especially those in the Carolinas, are more Caribbean, right? But you have ones who have that in us as well. So we, anyway, we're the same people, but not to go carry on too much, just trying to explain some of that. We, we should really get to this thing of stop trying to run away from, who we are. And people think when you hear slavery, like nobody was fighting back. This is part of the reason I believe why ones not only want to fit in, some of our ancestors, Geechee ancestors here in Florida, certain places who try to get away from that, speak more proper, whatever, is because of being Geechee is like a rebel, basically, a warrior, that warrior blood, the Gullah Wars, right? We was fighting big time here in Florida. And that's something they don't teach us about. Like the biggest warriors, while ones be having them hot tempers and all that stuff like that, that's where it comes from, all right? So, you feel me? And they say every Geechee know how to fight, built tough, built for battle, right? We was in the swamps, holding our breath, the Marines, you feel me? Holding our breath a long time in the swamps, coming out, taking them out. Andrew Jackson didn't know what hit him, you feel me? Look up Gullah Wars. You can find it on YouTube. I ain't gonna get, because of time and what I'm using, but yeah, you feel me? But after that, I think it was like 100 or so years. That's what had to end slavery. We have free town right here in North Florida, right? Couldn't mess with us. Couldn't mess with us. All right. So when one see me act the way I act, 'cause I be real calm and stuff on YouTube. 'Cause people feel like being a man, you got to be cool, calm, collective all the time, which you supposed to. But I be really kind of more amped up. But whatever. So yeah, just speaking of that, man, I want to put that out there, like for people to really know themselves. I hate for people to know themselves. Like you have people who be saying speak proper English, not knowing that a lot of Gullah words is in the English language. We'll be here all day, and with the Ebonics and just the way that black people even speak. The Geechee Gullah culture has a lot to play in that. Like when we say, instead of us saying specific, we'll most likely say Pacific. If we just laid back doing our natural black selves, we'll say Pacific. That's a part of it. You feel me? Just certain things that we say and we do. That's a part of it. Like we in two languages. We speaking, with two languages, right? We are a nation within a nation, or bilingual, right? As it would say. And just by anything that comes into the English language, if enough people speak it, just like bling bling, right? Bling bling was never a word until Cash Money made it into a word. Enough people start. That's how it become in the lexicon of enough people. How a word becomes a word. And even Nelly Fuller made a video about this, right? If enough people speak it, it's true. Enough people speak it, it becomes a word. If enough people understand what it means and use it over time, it becomes a word. So when people try to shame us for not speaking proper English, or they're not speaking, if I keep saying whatever word I made up enough, and enough of y'all take it on, enough of you white people, whatever, enough of y'all start to speak it, and y'all think or what it means, it will eventually become a language. So that which was not a word, it shamed you yesterday for not being a word, tomorrow will be a word, or today has now become a word, because they say, enough people speaking it, let's just make it a word. Enough people saying it, they'll make it an English word. That's how basic English really is. That's how most words in English, enough people say it, it'll become a word. Over time, it'll become a word. That's it. So being our improper selves forms language. Help to structure, help to form language. So the way we pronounce stuff or mispronounce things, pronunciation, parlez-vous français, the way that we speak and we say stuff, excuse my French, pardon, excuse me, plays a major role in that, okay? But yeah, that's what I want to say, man. Like I said, I'm Geechee, I hate to say proud of it, you know what I'm saying, but I'm happy to be Geechee. I love being Geechee. I love, my ancestors for putting up that fight and, and all the stuff they did to us and tell black people, when you try to use Geechee as a derogatory word, if you really about that life, you really about this right here, you really about all that right here, you know what I'm saying, all that, you would know, like, that's not how my ancestors were getting down. Kicking ass and taking names for hundreds of years. So all the Haitians, Jamaicans, Maroons, Seminole here in Florida, and all Seminole meant. And my wife just found out yesterday. She was like, "Yeah, the Seminole really wasn't no real like native tribe, just basically black people who ran away. That's what Seminole really meant, right? So it was a different group of, I guess you could say, the Geechee and all that, but still Geechee, still ones who just ran away and had ties with natives of this land, but mainly Seminole was just run away, those who ran away, right? But yeah, you do have both. You got the native and you got you could say the African aspect as well. But yeah, and like I say, Gullah means redemption, I believe, in the Hebrew. So we'll be here all day, man. For those who know themselves, it's hard for ones to step to you when you know yourself. They don't like that. They like to shame people and have us being shameful and being upset, whatever, about who we are. And it was things too. Yeah, my uncle even sent me an email years ago. Sent a family email about our Geechee Gullah heritage. So for those who know themselves, know where they sent from, you don't need to be ashamed, like at all. You feel me? Like at all. And when people get this thing of that slavery is just something that happened that didn't happen. They want to erase it. There was no slave ships. When there's many documents showing proof, but there's many documents that show you had ones fighting against slavery here in Florida. You feel me? Hundreds of years. I think one of the first free towns, all that. You feel me? Was fighting fierce warriors. Some of the fierce down here putting in that work. Swamp niggas. You know what I'm saying? Here in Florida, Louisiana, the coastal line, Georgia, South Carolina, which I consider to be the Mecca, South Carolina, all the way going from North Carolina down here, Jacksonville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida. You feel me? Like it's time to know who you are. Speak your language. Speak how we speak. Them over there did it, right? Same thing. We'll speak the similar language of those in Jamaica and other places. Like it's time to stop trying to be them and be ourselves. And first know ourselves and be ourselves. The Nile River flows from what? South to north. The St. John River here in I'm in Tallahassee, but Jacksonville, Florida, right? Still North Florida, flows the same way. I can go all about to Atlantis over here, from the Caribbean and in South Carolina and all that over here in Atlantis, what we know today is Africa, right? The two Ethiopias, the Ethiopic Ocean, as it was once called. Look at the maps. Look at the old maps. Be here all day. But for those who know, that's why they didn't want a Gullah, a warrior on the plantation when they would capture one of us, because we would wake up the other ones, because we was on the battlefield putting in that work. We wasn't scared to put it in, a hardened Geechee warrior, and had the knowledge. You feel me? So that's just what it was. But they'll try to make it seem like, a person who speak that way, they're dumb, they're ignorant, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. But anyway, and that's the rule of war, deception. You think I don't know what I'm talking about, then you're going to realize I know probably more than what you know. Anyway, yeah, man, But shout out to all my Gullah warriors out there, man. It's time to kick up some dust. All right, I'm out. Shalom, y'all.